वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय सूर्यकोटि समप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Team Param Vedanta extends a warm welcome for the 57th session of Gift Gita for Inner Freedom and Transformation. We are in the 11th chapter, which is called Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga. In today's session, we cover verses 6 to 10, and we have with us Srimati Chetana, Dr. Komal Prasad, Srimati Sukanya, Srimati Apeksha, and Srimati Vidya Prabhu explaining today's verses. Dr. Komal Prasad will be moderating today's session. He will introduce us to the topic and provide us deeper insights, facilitating manana after Shravana of these verses. Over to you, sir.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Om. We are seeing the 11th chapter, Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga. So, to recapitulate the previous verses, so this is a very important chapter where the Lord Krishna will show his Vishwarupa to Arjuna. Okay. So first, in the first verse, Arjuna had told that the origin and dissolution of beings as well as your glory were heard by me in detail. You have explained to me. Now further, I desire to see your Vishwarupa. I desire to see your divine form. So he asks, requests, O Lord, if you can consider that Vishwarupa can be seen by me, then please show your inexhaustible form, O Lord. So like that, so Arjuna is requesting Lord Krishna. Till here we saw. So now is the very important part of the chapter where Lord Krishna grants the divine eye, the Divya Chakshu, to Arjuna. So in 8th verse, which we will be seeing today, he says that, so I can show you my Vishwarupa, but you cannot see me with this ordinary Laukika Chakshu. I will give you the divine eye, the Divya Chakshu, though temporarily, and you can see my divine power. So that's what we are going to see today. And then in the early part of this 11th chapter, what we see, the three steps. First is Krishna's description of Vishwarupa. Then from the 9th verse onwards, we see Sanjaya's description when the Divya Chakshu has been made available to Arjuna. Sanjaya comes in and he describes the Vishwarupa. And from 15th verse onwards, which we'll be seeing later, Arjuna's description of Vishwarupa will start. So that is the gist summary of what we are going through, what we saw in the last class, and what to expect. So to recapitulate our Tattva Bodha and our early studies on Vedanta, so we have seen any product will have two kind of causes, karanas. One is a material cause and an intelligent cause. Like for example, if we take furniture, the wood is the material cause and carpenter is a intelligent cause. So we know by the complexity of the world, what we see around us, the universe around us, there must be a creator. Okay, that intelligent cause, it's very easy for us to comprehend that the intelligent cause, and we call it God. God is the intelligent cause of all universe. What we forget is, like, if he has created the beautiful universe world around us, using what material has he created this universe? So what can that be? What is the material cause of universe? The answer will be God again. So God creates the universe out of himself. He manifests as universe, the world around us. So Vishwa Darshanam is something which we do every day. Whatever we see around us is Vishwa Darshanam. So like if we take ornaments. So ornament darshanam means to see the essential element in the ornament. We see it's nothing but gold darshanam. Okay. Similarly, furniture darshanam will necessarily mean darshanam of the wood darshanam. In the same way, if you are seeing universe, that's what darshanam. It's nothing but God darshanam. Okay, so that will be the answer. So that is the Vishwarupa Darshanam. Okay, so this is the filter. If we take out all the names and forms of out of the ornaments, we get the element gold. Similarly, names and forms of the furniture, we get wood if those are taken out. Similarly, if the names and forms of the world around us, the universe around us is taken out, what the essential material out of which the God has created, that will be the Vishwarupa Darshanam. Seeing the Ishvara, the aspect of Ishvara and everything which is manifested around us is Vishwarupa Darshanam. What is needed is an attitudinal change to have this divinization of the world. It can happen in only one way, the one which is binding us to the samsara, which is ahankara and mamakara, has to be diluted to the barest minimum. We can't wish it away totally when we are in this body, but it should be diluted to the maximum. Diluted ahankara and mamakara is otherwise called divya chakshu in this chapter. Okay. So this is what we need to keep in mind when we go through this. What happens when ahankara and mamakara is reduced? There will be reduced raga and dvesha. Okay, if you see your gold chain which your mother has gifted to you, so you see that extra element. One is that the gold is already converted into a padartha, into like an ornament. Gold is the essential element. Okay, and from that the ornament is made. It is called padartha. And over that padartha, our emotions which get attached to it, it becomes a vishaya. It is much more valuable than its weight in gold because it's something which my mother has gifted to me. Okay. So now when we are seeing Vishwarupa Darshana, when we are trying to see Ishvara everywhere, at least as the first step, the eventual, our journey is to see the gold. But as an interim step, to before we have a Brahma Darshanam, what we see is Ishvara Darshanam. That is, first we should be seeing it as a gold chain as a gold chain. Okay. And the essential element there is gold. Okay. From Vishaya, we'll have to see Vishwa as Padartha without any attachment, any raga, dvesha towards it. That's possible only when ahankara and mamakara is diluted to the minimum. We saw this attitudinal change. There's one interesting experiment which was done in the late 1990s by a psychology department of University of Illinois in United States of America. Daniel Simons was the investigator, the scientist who did this. What they did, some 4 or 5 people are passing a basketball, playing joyfully, and a group of volunteers were asked to see and count, just observe in the adjacent room window and count the number of passes the balls changes hands. So some 20-30 volunteers took part, and what the experiment involved was a person who is dressed up like a gorilla, which is very unusual to see in such a setting. But that person wearing a gorilla dress walks from one side, comes to the center of the picture, stays there for a while, do some antics, and then goes out of the other side. And then the volunteers will be asked, okay, how many passes did you notice? So I counted 37 counts of ball passes. Did you see anything unusual when you were observing that? More than 50% of the volunteers had not recognized that something unusual as a gorilla dressed person had walked into the field and passed. Still more astonishing was that when their eyes were tracked, these are scientists, so they tracked the eye movements of the volunteers also. The eyes of the volunteers, they had actually fixated on the gorilla for more than a second in between when the gorilla comes. But when asked later, did you notice anything? It is totally out of their memory. It's not there, not registered at all. Unless you have a viewpoint, a kind of plain mind, a wonderment as a kid, you're fixated on your job, what you need to do, and you miss something such gross as this gorilla which was passing by. We have to focus attention on something in order to become aware of it. Unless we focus our attention, looking is not same as seeing. This was the gist of that scientific experiment. What it is, what is needed is preparedness of the experiencer. The same experience occurs to us in different way in different settings. So, a Carnatic music recital for somebody who is not so well versed with the music may not be as appealing, whereas the other person would be enjoying, reveling in that music because he's prepared, he knows what's the next step. So, unless we focus our attention on something, we will not be aware. Similarly, when we are seeing things around us, if you are not focusing, if you are not willing to focus, if you are not prepared our mind to focus on that essential element, essential, which brings in the essential oneness of everything around us, we will miss the presence of Vishwarupa, Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshana. We'll just stay at Vishwadarshana. That's what we do every day. Okay, so the step now, when we go along with what Arjuna undergoes, is to prepare ourselves for our journey towards seeing Ishvara in everything around us, moving, non-moving, material, non-material. Prepared mind is the Divya Chakshu, which is no ahankara, no mamakara. Forget about bringing our mamakara, ahankara to our lowest possible level. Right from our childhood, over years, we have been conditioned by the materialistic society towards sharpening this ahankara and mamakara. Me first. Okay. So first to look everything as a business. What is the profit for me? Okay. And if you go through this, uh, the treatise on Prince, the old Italian philosopher who taught the Prince right from the medieval times, we are teaching the next generation to focus more on ahankara and mamakara. And we are lucky to be here where we are thinking diametrically, diagonally opposite to nullify, to dilute it. And that's how fortunate we are when we are in this Vedantic journey. Because that's the only way to make our mind prepared to have Divya Chakshu, to see Ishvara in everything around us. That requires an attitudinal change. Divinization of the world requires an attitudinal change. And to recapitulate, it can happen in only one way, dilution of ahankara and mamankara. And what follows is raga and dvesha will go away. We see a gold chain as a gold chain, and those attachment of those stories, what is behind it, and how we got it, and how precious it is, how more valuable than its actual value, those things will be nullified. That will prepare us for the next step where we see even every ornament same as nothing but gold. Every thing which is name and form, once we prepare ourselves to have Ishvara Darshana, Vishwarupa Darshana, that will prepare us to go further to have Brahma Darshana. So that's the first step, is to have this Divya Chakshu to have Vishwarupa Darshana. That's the focus of a very important part of 11th chapter today. So we'll start with the 6th verse by Srimati Chaitanya. Over to you, madam.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. In the fourth verse, we saw Arjuna requesting Krishna to show his Vishwarupa. So here in the sixth verse, Krishna asks Arjuna to witness the various devatas assembled within him as natural forces. He says, Pashya Adityan Vasun Rudran Ashvinau Maruta Tataha Bahuni Adrushta Purvani Pashya Ascharyani Bharata. O Arjuna, see Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, Ashwins, and Maruts. See many wonders which are not seen before. We'll see in the next slide. Each of these celestial beings or devatas represent a natural phenomenon. The 12 Adityas represent the nature of the sun in each month of the year. The 8 Vasus preside over the 8 directions. The 11 Rudras represent the sense organs, Pancha Jnanendriyas, the organs of action, Pancha Karmendriyas, and plus the mind, Antakarana. Then the 2 Ashwini Kumaras preside over the pranas, and the 49 Maruts preside over different winds. So in the next slide, what is the underlying meaning here? Arjuna wanted Krishna to show his Vishwarupa. But here we must keep in mind that there is no question of showing Vishwarupa. Why? Because it is all in front of us. Therefore, showing the Vishwarupa is nothing but removing the obstacles in the mind so that we can see the Lord's glory everywhere. Next slide. Vishwarupa Ishvara is available to all, but if the mind is not prepared, then it fails to make an impact. And if you do not get the thrill of this Lord's glory, this Vishwarupa Ishvara, then the problem is not with Ishvara. The problem lies with the non-preparedness of the seeker. Lord, as the universe, is always readily available. So we'll see in the next slide how to prepare the mind. Preparing the mind is nothing but purifying the mind by reducing the Shadripus, the 6 enemies. And what are they? Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Madha, and Matsarya. Thereby reducing Ahankara and Makara and reducing Raga and Dvesha. These Shadripus are the cataracts. They're like cataracts, obstructing the vision of the already available Lord. Once this obstruction is removed, the need for God to come goes away as He is available everywhere. This prepared mind is a divine vision, Divya Chakshu, where the mind sees divinity everywhere. As in the next slide, as Dr. Komal just mentioned, just as in a musical performance, one person will enjoy the music, but another will be unimpressed. Why? Because to appreciate music, you must develop a musical ear. Similarly, Arjuna is missing this divine vision, Divya Chakshu, which is nothing but mental purity, and therefore he requests Krishna's help in getting Vishwarupa Darshanam. And through Krishna's grace, Arjuna is blessed for a short time with this Divya Chakshu. We'll see in the next slide that now in the Bhashyam, it is mentioned that Arjuna's Divya Chakshu consists of 2 parts, exalted vision and an extended vision. For us, exalted vision alone is required. But in the case of Arjuna, Krishna gave an extended vision. Next slide, please. Gave an extended vision also, which is not required for the spiritual growth. What is this extended vision? It is like ESP, extrasensory perception, the capacity to see Bhuvar Loka, Mahar Loka, Brahma Loka, etc. What Arjuna sees is not available to us, and we don't need it also. extended vision is like a special blessing for Arjuna that we do not need to attain moksha. And this sloka comes under the extended vision only. So, extended vision is just for our understanding, but exalted vision is what we should work for through our sadhanas, so that we see this very world as Vishwarupa. Finally, in the next slide, a very important point to remember is that for Ishvara Darshana to have any impact on us, the mind should be well prepared through Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. Because Vishwarupa Ishvara is nothing but the Lord in the form of universe itself. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Chaitanya Madam, for that nice description of extended vision in the sixth verse. As she mentioned, so there are two kinds of visions, Vishwarupa, the Divya Chakshu, when Krishna endows it on Arjuna, there are two aspects to it, extended vision and exalted vision. So this is a subtle thing which we have to notice here, because as Chaitanya Madam just explained, in the sixth verse, what was explained was the extended vision. It's like a ESP, that's the extrasensory perception, which is beyond what is seen in our present existence, present desha kala, where we are. What we see around, beyond that, in other lokas, in other realms, in other times, in past, future. So everything comes under extended vision. What is necessary for us to gain moksha, which is the ultimate need and ultimate purpose of our study, is exalted vision. That is, to see the world around us in a new way. That is exalted vision. We need not have that vision. That comes under siddhis. It's possible. So the Vedanta and Swami Paramarthananda says that siddhi purusha, some people will have that kind of ESP, extended vision, which is a kind of oh, some superpower which people would get it. It's not negated, but that is not something which will take us to moksha or liberation. What is necessary is exalted vision. But for Arjuna, when Krishna gives Divya Chakshu, it comes like buy one, get one free. Like if you are subscribing for news channels, so many sports channels would come free. So, the similar kind, when Krishna is endowing Arjuna Divya Chakshu, it comes as a package, and that's why he will be able to see as Adityas, Rudras, Ashwini Kumaras, those things which are not around in the world what he was at present at that moment. Okay, from that was about the verse 6. In verse 7, we'll be seeing further about the exalted vision, the things nearby, things around us, which, like having a kind of, you would have heard about how some animals, butterflies, or insects will have limited vision. They won't see the world around us in color, like suddenly getting a color vision, how it would change. Similarly, a person with exalted vision would see the same surroundings or the same world around us in a new way. So that is exalted vision. So in seventh verse, what we see, Ihai kastam jagat kritsnam pasyadya sacharacharam mama dehe gudakesha echanyat drishtum ichasi. Oh Arjuna, see here and now in my body. What is his body? His body is entire Vishwa. Within his body, the entire universe, with its movable and immovable parts, chara, which are placed together. Like within our body, there are many things happening, the peristaltic movements, our tongue moving, our intestines moving, the heart moving, beating, the lungs doing their work. These movements are happening, but we are still. Similarly, within the body of the Lord, The charachara, both movable and immovable things, are placed together. And not just that, you imagine anything else that you desire to see. This is what the choice is giving. You choose whichever channel you want, sort of. So, this is where Shankaracharya takes this. What would Arjuna desire at this moment? Because he is in that Laukika world, he will be desiring about his victory in the battle which is happening. So if you wish to take, when our purpose is so big, when everything is in our hands, you can choose whatever you want, and what Arjuna would choose, because he is at that Laukika level in the battlefield, his desire would be to see his success in his own way, which would benefit everybody in the battlefield. Okay, so here Arjuna is given the choice. You desire whatever you want to see, and that will be seen. So this is the 7th verse. Now we'll go to the next verse number 8 by Srimati Sukanya Narayan. Over to you, madam.
Hari Om. Hari Om, sir. Appreciating the glories of the Lord in creation is a step towards spiritual journey, starting with Ekarupa, Saguna form of Ishvara, to Anekarupa, the cosmic form. After Krishna explained to Arjuna, Ihaikastam Jagat Krishnam, as in the previous verse, see the whole universe contained within my body, Arjuna desired seeing the entire cosmos in Krishna's Sharira. Arjuna could not behold this extraordinary vision. Therefore, Krishna offered to bestow him with the third eye of wisdom. As others, Arjuna needed knowledge of the Supreme in totality, which was possible only with a refined mind. This knowledge of the Supreme is attained through a refined mind, and this is called the eye of wisdom. Verse is like this. Natu mam shakyase drushtum aneneva sachakshusha divyam dadamite chakshusho pashyame yogamaishwaram. Krishna says, you cannot see me with these ordinary eyes of yours. I shall give you a divine eye. See my divine power. Natu chakshase drushtumma. However, you cannot see me. Anena eva swachakshusha. With these ordinary eyes of yours. Dadami de divyam chakshusho. I shall give you divine eye. Pashyame aishwaram yogam. See my divine power. One cannot have the impact of divinity of Ishvara Darshanam with ordinary eyes. A unique, invisible eye of a prepared mind is required. So, the significance of wisdom eye is the perception attitude. Next, now we see the Vishwarupa of the universe in front of us, both Stavaram and Jangamam, moving and immovable. Antastam yasya visham suranarakhagavo bhogi gandharva daityam chitram ramyatetam tribhuvana vapusham vishnumisham namame. Vishwarupa, or the cosmic form, is very difficult for ordinary mortals to visualize and contemplate upon. Arjuna was granted a divine vision to be able to experience the cosmic form of Krishna, and Arjuna saw. Tatraikastam jagat krishnam pravibhaktam anekada apashya deva devasya sharire pandavastada. Arjuna witnessed supreme form, the whole universe with its manifold divisions, condensed in one place. Thus, ekastam, meaning adharam, substratum of the universe, is explained in Vishnu Sahasranama Dhyana Sloka. An unrefined mind cannot see divinity in creation. To illustrate, both Ramana and Shabari saw Rama, but the impact was different with Ramana. To Shabari, Rama's darshan was a sense of gratitude, love, divinity after a long wait. Next time. This change in perception is also explained in this slide. A photographer or an archaeologist visits famous historical temples to study the history of the idols, the structures, their age, in whose dynasty it was built, etc. It's only for information, but without any devotion. There is no bhavana of divinity at all. But when a bhakta goes to a temple, he totally surrenders before the idol with closed eyes and seeks divine blessings. Seeing divinity in magnificent forms in the cosmic universe is possible only to a prepared mind devoid of ahankara and mamakara and knowledge of atma anatma through shastra, shravana, manana. This is called Vishishtadvaita, a stepping stone before reaching the non-dual Advaita Brahma. Now, what the Shankara Bhashyam says, Natumam Vishwarupadharam Shakyase Drishtum Aneneva. You cannot see the one who has the Vishwarupa form with ordinary eyes. Prakatena Swachakshusha, with your own ordinary eyes. Yena Tu Shakyase Drishtum Divyena. Whatever Divya you can see, Tat Divyam Dadamite Tubhyam Chakshusho. That divine eye I will give you. Tena Pashyame Yogamaishwaram. With that divine power, Ishwarasya Mama Yoga Shaktim Pashya. May you visualize the universe as my extraordinary, unsurpassed Maya Shakti. Vishwarupa is already there around for our experience. We only need a refined mind to recognize the divinity. As long as Ahankara and Mamakara are there in the mind, the universe is seen as a problematic samsara. No divinity can arise. Only removal of Ahankara, Mamakara can refine the mind for Vishwarupa Darshana. Swamiji says, removal of Ahankara and Mamakara converts Jiva Srishti to Ishvara Srishti. When I say this book is mine, book is the Vishya, capable of binding me. For Ajnani, the entire universe, including his body, is Padartha, Ishvara Srishti. So, Vishwarupa Darshana is conversion of Vishaya to Padartha. Reverence to the Panchabhutas is also Vishwarupa. In Sanatana Dharma, Shiva is depicted in the 5 elements as Panchalingam, as seen in this slide, in ancient temples. In conclusion, to the one whose mind is refined, God appears as the universe in various supreme manifestations, Bahuda Vishwato Mukham. Reverence to the manifestations in the universe is Vishwarupa Darshana. Bhakti is an integral part of knowledge. Without bhakti, jnanam is not possible. Both jnanam and bhakti together make Vishwarupa Darshana possible, which is a stepping stone for Advaita Jnanam. Hari Om.
Thank you very much, madam, for very clearly mentioning the difference between Padartha and Vishaya. Padartha is Ishvara Srishti and Vishaya is Jiva Srishti. Vishwarupa Darshanam is converting Vishaya into Padartha. It was very clearly brought out by Sukanya madam. Along with, she has even explained the Shankara Bhashya, the further details to it, which will elaborate on this aspect. Now we'll go to the next verse. That's verse 9, which will be explained by Srimati Apeksha.
Hari Om. Sanjay Uvacha Eva Muktava Tato Rajanaha Mahayogeshwaro Hari Darshamas Parthaya Parmam Rupama Ishwaram. Sanjay said, having spoken thus, Krishna, the great Lord of all powers, thereafter revealed the supreme divine form to Arjuna, O king. The two most important words here is Hari, that is Sri Krishna, and Mahayogeshwaraha, the great Lord of all powers. And we'll talk about it. So Sanjay says to Dhritarashtra, next slide please. Krishna and Arjuna here both stop speaking because transfer of Divya Chakshu is happening here. Because without that, Arjun will not be able to see the real form of Krishna. So Sanjay is informing Dhritarashtra here that Krishna is now showing his divine form. Who is Krishna? He is the Hari himself. So Hari is Harta. Like Hari is also known as Vishnu, which is Harta, and Hari is also comes from the Hru word, which means Harta, the withdrawer of all papams, or who takes away all the papams from you. So Krishna, who is Hari himself, the Vishnu, the withdrawer of all papams, takes away all the impurities. So he's showing all his divine form to Arjuna here. Next slide, please. So Sanjay informs Dhritarashtra that Krishna is showing his Param Rupaha. That is the highest form, Mahayogeshwara, right? He is he's in his Mahayogeshwara, the higher form of even the personal gods. So we have learned about, right? Personal gods means Krishna, Ram. Not one can exist at one particular period of time. If Ram is there, Krishna is not there. Krishna is there, Ram is not there. So they have limitations, right? There's a birth date, there's a death date of them going. I mean, dropping of the body form, right? But here Sanjay is telling that Krishna is showing his Param Rupa, Mahayogeshwara. That is Ishvaro Kavi Ishvara. That is the Saguna Upasana, highest form in the Saguna Upasana. He's showing his form here. And where he's showing that this entire world, you should worship the entire world as God in this form. So in this form, the entire God exists. That is why it is said that even if you look up, down, left, right, mountains, trees, nature, everywhere is just God. So here Krishna is showing the entire world as his form, and this is the highest form of the Saguna Upasana, I will say. That is the Mahayogeshwara form. So two words which I took myself as important from Swami Paramarthananda's explanation also was the Hari, that Krishna is Hari himself, the withdrawer of all papams, and he is showing the highest form Mahayogeshwara here, which is higher than the personal gods that we worship as idols. Hari Om.
Thank you, Srimati Apeksha, for that explanation of the verse where we are taken to a different scene where the Sanjaya will be informing Dhritarashtra about the Vishwarupa. So Sanjaya, indirectly he is seeing what is happening in the battlefield between Arjuna and Krishna, and he reports that to Dhritarashtra. And as she rightly said, this is the ultimate Saguna Upasana possible. To see everything moving, non-moving, living, non-living around us, the entire universe as Ishvara. So we'll come to the next verse, verse 10, which will be explained by Srimati Vidya Prabhu. Over to Vidya Madam, please.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Verse 10, chapter 11. We all know that Lord Krishna blessed Arjuna with the Divya Chakshu, a temporary freedom from Ahankara and Mamakara, and a temporary delusion of Raga and Dvesha. And with that Divya Chakshu, Lord Krishna endows Vishwarupa Darshanam to Arjuna. Here is one gap before Arjuna blessing special capacity not only to see Vishwarupa Darshanam, but also to see what Arjuna sees. Swami Paramarthananda here tells that Vishwarupa consists of two components, extended vision and the exalted vision. Whenever Arjuna is seeing things belonging to the other lokas like celestials, etc., it is the extended vision, and whenever he looks at this world itself as the divine expression of the Lord, it is the exalted vision. In this vision of the cosmic form of the Lord, now let us come to the verse. Aneka vaktra nayanam, anekatputa darshanam, aneka divyabharanam, divyaneko Aneka Vaktram, Vaktrani, Nayanam means eyes. That Lord with many mouths and eyes. We have to understand that the Vishwarupa form is Bhagavan in Vishwam alone. Separate God cannot be possible. Bhishma has already blown the conch. Lakhs of warriors, horses, elephants, chariots have gathered in the battlefield. With the Divya Chakshu, Arjuna is seeing all the heads, faces, and eyes as belonging to the Lord. Separate God cannot be possible. Bhagavan himself is in the form of this world. Arjuna could see this with his Jnana Drishti. Bhagavan behind this world. He sees the face of enemies also as Bhagavan. This indeed is Adbhutam, a great wonder. When one sees the enemy as the Lord of the heart, the enmity disappears, it becomes divyam. Everything is transformed into divine. Externally, they may be enemies, internally, it is only divine. So the understanding here is that no individual is separate from totality. Vyashti is never separate from the Samashti. The perception is totally transformed. Bhagavan alone has become everything. Aneka Adbhuta Darshanam, anything wonderful in this world, all belong to Vishwarupa Ishvara. Aneka Divyabharanam, thousands of extraordinary ornaments belong to Vishwarupa Ishvara alone. It can also mean all the great warriors wearing the abharanams belong to the Lord. Every position also becomes divine. Divyaneka, uh, Divyaneko Idham. Divya means divine or extraordinary. Ayudhani means weapon. With countless weapons, Udyata held with a raised hand. What we have to understand here is that Bhagavad Gita is taking place in the battlefield. Each warrior is equipped with different type of uplifted weapons ready to strike at the enemy in the battlefield. Generally, weapons are considered inauspicious. Here, even the weapons become auspicious when it becomes divine by belonging to the Lord. The word used here is Divya Ayudham. In the hands of the Lord, it is used to establish Dharma Samsthapanarthaya, Dharma Eva Ishvaraha. Therefore, any weapon for Dharma is a divine weapon. So with such weapons, Vishwarupa Ishvara is giving darshanam. Here the sentence does not have the verb, so Shankaracharya completes it by borrowing from the previous verse. Darshaya Masa iti purvena sambandha. From the previous shloka, we have to take the Aishwaryam Rupam, and all the words in the verse are adjectives to the Rupam, meaning Vishwarupam. Aneka Vaktra Nayana Rupam, Aneka Divya Bharana Rupam, etc. When we say Lord Krishna showed Vishwarupa to Arjuna, it means Bhagavan removed the obstacles for the appreciation of the universe as divine. With that the obstacle is gone, which means what was seen secular earlier is now seen as sacred. Vishwarupa Darshanam is not a physical event, it is an event of an attitudinal change and a consequence. Nothing is happening outside. The physical saw the physical world, but the Divya Chaksha showed him the divinity behind this universe. The verse is such a visual one that these two verses, the 10th and 11th verses, have become the subject for the artist to draw the image of Vishwarupa Ishvara, which has become universal. The repetition of the word Aneka 4 times in the verse also means infinite, depicting the boundless glory of the Lord. Hari Om. Thank you.
Thank you, Srimati Vidya Prabhu, for that excellent presentation on the 10th verse, which we are going through the journey where we are seeing the Vishwarupa Darshana, and the further verses will follow about the glory, the vividness of Vishwarupa Darshana will be followed in further verses, which we'll be seeing in the next session. Thank you.
We have come to the end of today's satsanga, which has enriched our spiritual learning. Grateful thanks to all the speakers and Dr. Komal Prasad for bringing in a lot of clarity to our understanding. Param Vedanta thanks each one of you for your continued interest in the pursuit of Atma Vidya through our series of sessions and also for your positive feedback. Our next session is on Friday, the 20th of December, for the second session of Atma Bodha, a Prakarana Grantha by Sri Adi Shankaracharya. Before the concluding prayer, I have an important information to share. As you're all aware, Param Vedanta has been offering Guru Dakshina to all our gurus twice a year, once during Guru Purnima and again during Gita Jayanti. You have been a part of this offering all through, and we are indeed grateful for that. This year, Gita Jayanti falls on the 11th of December, and the window is open for us to offer our gratitude to the lotus feet of our gurus. I'm sure you will join us in this Guru Seva as always. Needless to mention, The offering thus collected will reach our gurus, and the decision to donate is purely voluntary. The mode of payment and the account details are displayed on the screen. It will be sent to you in all the groups. Those of you who decide to contribute may remit your Guru Dakshina to this account. Overseas listeners, please note that the amount will need to be transferred from an Indian account. Details of Guru Dakshina offered will be shared with you. Please don't forget to fill in the Google Forms after the money is remitted. This will help us to issue you the receipt. The link for the Google Forms is also provided. Thank you all for being with us in this divine journey. We conclude today's session with our usual Shanti mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti 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 Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum.